Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll call the December 12th meeting to order. Item number 2 on our agenda this morning is to approve the minutes of the meeting of November 14th, 2019. Have a motion and a second on item 2. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 is to ratify approvals. We have 2 items. Have a motion and a second on item 3. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 4 is to approve the claims docket. Have a motion and a second on item 4. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is to approve the following applications for service retirements. We have 8 this month. I have a motion and a second on item 5. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 is receive report of death, authorize payment of the $5,000 death benefit, and approve continuation of pension to spouse. I have a motion and a second on item 6. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is to receive the report of death, authorize payment of the $5,000 death benefit, and authorize secretary to make necessary changes to conform on the following. Second. I have a motion and a second on item 7. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 is to receive the report of death, authorize secretary to make necessary changes to conform on the following. Motion and a second on item 8. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 9A is to receive a presentation from Margaret Thomas or her representative concerning her application for a disability not in the line of duty allowance as permitted under the disability allowance provisions of Section 4106 of the Oklahoma City Municipal Code, and B, to enter into executive session with the municipal counselor to discuss application of the disability not in the line of duty as authorized. I do not see Ms. Thomas or her representative. Not seeing her here, I will entertain a motion for us to enter into executive session. I have a motion, a second, to enter an executive session on item 9B. All in favor?
I'm sorry, we need to do a roll call.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Okay, Jacqueline Ames? Yes or no? Yeah. Diana Berry? Yes. Brent Bryant?
Yes.
Carla Nichols?
Yes.
Regina Story?
Yes.
Randy Thurman?
Yes.
Jim Williamson?
Yes.
Ken Culver?
Yes.
And Chair Bronson?
Yes. We will, since we have other items that we're going to discuss in executive session, we'll continue with the agenda, and then we'll discuss all those items once we complete the regular agenda. So, moving right along to item 10, we have items for individual consideration. Item 10A is an amendment to the Asset Consulting Group, LLC, non-discretionary consulting agreement. Does anyone have any questions on item 10A? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion. Have a motion and a second on item 10A. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10B is an ordinance relating to personnel and retirement system, amending the Oklahoma City Municipal Code 2010, Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 1, Part C, Board of Trustees of the Employee Retirement System by amending Section 40-95 to update the Common Collective Trust or Group Trust investment list and providing for an effective date. Anyone have any questions on item 10B? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion. Have a motion and a second on item 10B. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10C is an agreement with Grant and Eisenhofer regarding the U.S. securities class action against ProPetro Holding Corp. Does anyone have any questions regarding item 10C? Hearing none, the Chair will entertain a motion. I have a motion and a second on item 10C. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11, A, is to enter an executive session to discuss the performance evaluation, employment contract, and salary of the retirement system manager and retirement system analyst as authorized by 25 Oklahoma Statutes 2017, and/or item B, approve the personal services contract for the retirement system. That should read analyst, not manager. That should read analyst. And item 11C, approve the addendum to the personal services contract for retirement system manager. So I assume we need another.
We need a separate vote on A.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Roll call vote. A or nay? Jacqueline Ames? Diana Berry? Yes. Brent Bryant? Yes. Carla Nichols? Yes. Regina Story? Yes. Randy Thurman? Yes. Jim Williamson? Ken Culver? Yes. And Chair?
Yes. Okay. Again, we will address all these items once we complete the rest of the docket. Item 11 is to, item 12 rather, is to elect a chair for the term of January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020. At this time, the chair will entertain nominations.
I move that the slate of candidates remain the same as they are this year unless someone else is interested in one of the offices.
Second that.
Okay, the first motion's for the chair.
Yeah.
Okay, I move that the chair nominate Paul Bronson.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on item 12. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. It was in the affirmative. It was in the affirmative. Item 13 is to elect a vice chair for the term of January 1, 2020 to December 31st, 2020.
I nominate Ken Kohler unless there is someone else who would like to throw their name in. I nominate Ken Kohler.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to retain Ken Culver as the vice chair for the next calendar year. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 14 is investment consultant report. Jason.
Morning. Thank you. So you should have the November flash report in front of you. Just chatting with Renee, and as we're sitting here on December 12th, it's looking like this fiscal year should be a good one. Things would have to be pretty bad the last couple of weeks for this not to come in as a good year. Your year-to-date returns through November are close to 17%. And remember, what's happening is we're taking off a very bad quarter of the fourth quarter of 2018 that impacted your 2018 results, really in not just a bad quarter, but a very bad December of 2018. So overall, the asset allocation, you're slightly overweight to equities, which is really the underweight currently is in real estate, which we have actually bumped up slightly. You'll note in the real assets, you're at 12.3%. Value-added or opportunistic value-added real estate is an area that functions much like private equity. That's an area we need to continue to identify opportunities in. The commodities allocation, I think Patty talked about this last month, that is going away. The target allocation has already gone away, but we're holding off on redeeming until we have a place for that to go. A portion of that is going to go into your core real estate manager, Morgan Stanley. You submitted the additional subscription for, I think, $9 million last month. There's still about a 2-quarter queue wait to get into that fund because they don't take capital until they have properties to invest. It's looking like they'll call that capital in March. But overall, you'll see you're slightly overweight to large cap within equities, overweight to large cap U.S., which has been a positive because large cap U.S. stocks have continue to be the best performing asset class. Slight overweight to small cap. Also, it's been a positive as small cap has really rebounded over the last year, and your 2 small cap managers, Ernest and Times Square, have done very well on a relative basis. Long short equity and private equity are at or near targets, and international slightly underweight, and emerging markets slightly underweight. Within fixed income, the core bonds, core plus, which is Western, the Western portfolio is overweight. That's been a positive as Western's done very well. Really, when we look at your performance relative to your policy index, you're a little bit behind the policy index, and the biggest driver of that is your fixed income. We compare all of your fixed income in the policy index to the Bloomberg Barclays Aggregate Index. Over the last year, as interest rates have come down, bond prices have gone up for U.S. investment-grade bonds, that's all the Bloomberg Barclays Aggregate Index is. Your portfolio has much less interest rate sensitivity on purpose. As a long-term investor with long-term liabilities, and where we're today and have been for the last 10 years really in an environment with very low yields, and over the intermediate to longer term concerned about sustained low yields or rising rates, we've purposefully designed your fixed income to have less sensitivity to interest rate movements. You still have some with the core bonds and even in the core plus strategy, but the global bonds and certainly the PAMCO absolute return strategy has very little interest rate risk to none. And so that's when we look at on page 2, if you look at your fixed income, the 1-year return is up 9%. We don't expect 9% from fixed income over time, but the benchmark is up almost 11% over that period of time. So very good absolute returns, but it's from something it's from yields coming down. That's not sustainable. So that's about 1.75% on 25% of your assets. So as we go up to the top and you look at the 1-year results, actually you're slightly ahead, gross of fees, 12.1 versus 11.95. The narrowness of that spread to the policy benchmark is from fixed income. Your traditional equity asset classes have done very well. Large cap, which is predominantly passive with the SSGA fund and the Intech strategy, which is benchmark risk controlled, is up 17% on a 1-year basis, almost 28, a little over 28.5% year to date, ahead of the S&P 500. Small cap, you'll see almost a 6.5% premium. That's the combination of Times Square and Ernest. We've really you've come through a period, 5 and even the 10-year numbers where your small cap portfolio has significantly outperformed. You've got the 2 managers that you have, Times Square and Ernest, are intended to be growth and value complements. We've been through a period where growth has significantly outperformed value over this 10-year period. Some of your relative outperformance is coming from the fact that Ernest, while has a value orientation, their process is also looking at some growth characteristics. So relative to other value managers, they've done very well. But as we look at them over time, they're still very different than your growth manager. They've just done very well compared to other value managers and the value benchmark. So the value benchmark over the last 5 years is up 6.8%, and Earnest is up 10%. So you're getting a nice premium there. Long-short equity, on a year-to-date basis, I just want to point this out, you're up, if you look at the composite, which is the long-short account, if you will, at Northern Trust, up 15.88, whereas K2, the manager, and you only have one manager, is up 17.5%. That dispersion is the holdback, and we've mentioned this a couple times. When we moved from the K2 Overseas Fund to the K2 Mauna Kea Fund, there was a holdback of 5% that was held in the Overseas Fund. Basically, you weren't getting a return on that until the audit, until they returned that capital. So that's caused that drag of the composite relative to the manager itself. More importantly, we really are pleased with the results we're seeing from Mauna Kea. One of the things we talked about was the ability to get a little bit more customized allocation that still provides the downside protection of long-short equity, but not quite as diversified as a off-the-shelf fund of funds, where you're getting a little bit more of the upside, but still protecting in down markets, and really seeing that in this market environment. Year-to-date being up 17.5%, the fund, in a period where the ACWI benchmark is up almost 23, you're getting about 70% of the return of the market, which that's better than what we were seeing in the more diversified fund of funds. And we've also seen in the down periods of 2018 it did provide protection. Just back to page 2, your international equity outperforming by about 45 basis points. That's the combination of Harding Loevner and Lazard. And then emerging markets, also pretty significant outperformance there. Emerging markets have really bounced back this year. While I've indicated that U.S. large cap continues to be the best performing asset class, we're still seeing a big rebound in non-U.S. and emerging markets over this year. As the last couple of years, it's been much more challenging there. A big part of that, both of your managers have done very well. You have Wells, the Wells Capital Berkeley Street Fund, which is an all-cap emerging market fund. That's up 15% on a trailing 1 year versus the EM benchmark up 7.7. And that's about almost 70% of your emerging market exposure, 3.5% of your total fund. And Wasatch, just as a reminder, that is a small cap emerging market fund. So probably with respect to all of your managers, even private equity, it's probably the most volatile or risky asset class and manager that you're in. So it represents a smaller allocation. It's really there for return enhancement over time, but does introduce a lot of risk. You're certainly getting that over this period, up close to 24% on a 1 year basis versus the EM small cap benchmark up 3.78%. So very good returns there, adding to that 9% premium to the benchmark for your EM on a trailing 1 year. And then finally, the real assets, which is primarily Morgan Stanley, the Morgan Stanley Prime Property Fund today, that's up 4.5% on a trailing 1 year. The real asset composite, the Morgan Stanley return is actually better than that, brought down by commodities, which will be coming out. But overall, very good returns. It's looking like this fiscal year is shaping up to be very strong, at least from an actuarial standpoint. Should be booking some gains on the year. No manager issues or concerns at this time as we look toward 2020. While we'll continue to move toward the new allocation with the removal of commodities and adding to real estate. We're probably going to be looking at some new commitments to value add real estate as those opportunities become available. The other thing that we want to take a look at and just revisit is that absolute return allocation. While PAMCO you've had for a number of years, there are some other options within more liquid vehicles that we think make some sense to take a look at. So as we move toward next year, that's something that we're going to want to bring to you all and just to evaluate as potential complements that are a little bit different. Any questions?
Did you say that you were looking at possibly adding value? Because that was just something I picked up on
Value
with the
add,
small cap. Okay.
No. I said, I use the term value add real estate, but it's in your policy, it's opportunistic real estate, but non-core real estate, which you have a little bit of today, TA and the Singular Gulf Distressed Real Estate Fund, you have a target of 5%. You're at less than 1%. These are real estate funds that are structured like private equity funds that you make commitments to and they call down capital over time. There are going to be some opportunities over the next 12 months that we will be bringing to you to make potential new commitments.
But is there any concern with earnest style drifting or anything out
No.
of value, I guess is what my question was.
No, I mentioned that. I mean, they're not drifting. This has been consistent with their approach since inception. When deep value is really working, they underperform. They're more of a relative value manager, but just some of the things they look at have helped them navigate this market where growth has significantly outperformed. And I was just pointing that out. It's not a concern.
Any other questions for Jason? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 15 is comments from board, staff, and citizens. Wiley.
Mr. Chairman and the board, I wanted to make you aware that yesterday Renee and I received some information from the firm that we have on that monitors security issues for us from Labaton Sabato, and they're recommending that we petition to be lead plaintiff in a case against iRobot. Our exposure in that case is almost $150,000, and since we didn't have time to get it on the agenda, I'm recommending to you to allow us to go ahead and proceed with that case since we have to enter by December 23rd and bring it back to you as for ratification at next month's agenda. I'm just letting you know that's my recommendation, and you can't take any action on it today, but if you got a major objection, whisper in my ear.
Yeah, that's in compliance with our policy, and
Right, it complies
Wiley
with the
and I
policy.
spoke with it earlier this morning. I think it's something we ought to go ahead and approve, even though it's not on the agenda, and then we'll ratify it next month. So,
And I
Any
read
questions?
the report, and I recommend we do it.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, I had a question. When is the vacancy going to be filled on the board?
I'll let Renee answer that. She's working on it right now.
Right, we're opening up a special election, so it will be filled as there's a special election. So the special election will begin the first or near the end of this month, and then it's just through the normal process that we go through for a normal election. But it'll just be a special election, and it will fill the remainder of Jamie's term.
So maybe in February we'll have a new...
And we probably shouldn't have it open, probably March before the actual person will be here.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for Mr. Williams. I just wanted to know if the board was going to have to front any fees for the law firm, for the
No.
the lawsuit that you just mentioned.
For the iRobot, no.
Okay.
It's all through the contract where they take that out of any type of settlement proceedings that they receive.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you and Ken for agreeing to serve another year.
You're very welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, then we will recess to executive session. We already did our roll call vote, and we'll, yeah, we already did that, so we'll go to executive session, and we shall return.
pictures of her at WB's RV. tailgate. Yeah.
Okay, we have returned from executive session, and at this time, the chair will entertain a motion on item 9B. No, I'm sorry, 9C.
That's the case of Margaret Thomas.
That's the case of Margaret Thomas. I have a motion and a second on item 9C. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We will now jump ahead, and the chair will entertain a motion on item 11B, approve the personnel services contract for retirement system analyst.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval with the correction, changing the retirement system manager under 11B to retirement system analyst.
I have a motion and a second on item 11B. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion on item 11C, approve the addendum to the personnel services contract for the retirement system manager. I have a motion and a second on item 11C. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 11:04.